Today I have with me the voice of Lexington on Gargoyles, Klarion on Young Justice, and Felix the Cat in the Twisted Tales of Felix the Cat, Mr. Thom Adcox.
That's me.
Yep. And this is interesting because this is also the first phone interview I've done, so...
Oh, yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah, well, over the phone, but...
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll get this started. What is it that got you interested in acting?
I kind of always just knew for some reason it was what I was going to do. I was born in Michigan, and nobody in my family was in the business, and I don't know where the idea just came from, but since I was, like 3 or 4 years old, I kind of knew that's what I was going to do, and when I graduated high school, I came right out to Los Angeles with a friend. We got in his car and drove here, and didn't know anybody, and that's where it started.
And what was the first thing you remember doing when you were in LA?
Let's see. The first thing I did, I went to ended up in Torrance, California, at a studio that had dance, singing, and acting. And so I went there and was taking classes, and then the teacher got... one of the teacher's students, I started teaching dance class, and one of the students' mom was an agent for commercials. So she asked me would I want to take headshots and do, start going on auditions. So that's what I did. And the first job I got, I got my SAG card in Detroit when I was 16 doing a commercial for a promo for the TV station called WNYC TV3 in Cincinnati, Ohio, or Cleveland, Ohio. So that was my first commercial, and that's where I got my SAG card. So it was lucky because I came out to LA with my SAG card. And then I started going on commercial auditions and getting little jobs here and there. This was back in the days when there was a series called Divorce Court, and it was like fake drama about divorces, and so that was like my first thing in Los Angeles, or the first job I got in Los Angeles. And I started doing a bunch of other jobs, commercials, and more little parts on TV shows. And then I got a role on Falcon Crest, the very last year of the show in 1989. So I did one season of that, 1 year of that. So that was a big deal because it was like a semi-series regular, and so that was really one of the big jobs I got.
And what is it that made you do animation?
Well, I had been doing a lot of on-camera and movies and TV and a bunch of on-camera commercials, and then one day I was in my agent's office at the time, my commercial agent, and I was talking with her, and Jamie Thomason, who's a big voice director, directs a bunch of just about everything in voiceover. He was an agent there, and he was walking by the office where I was at, and he heard me talking with my agent, and he said, "God, you got a great voice. Do we represent you for voice?" And I said, "No, you don't." And he asked me, "Would you want to sign with us for voiceover?" And I said, "Sure." So they started sending me out on a lot of auditions, and I would go into the agency office almost every day and read for stuff, and it was about a year before I booked anything. I was reading and reading and reading, and I was thinking, this may not be for me. So then they called me in for Gargoyles, and I went there, and I saw all these celebrities' names on the sign-in sheet. I was like, I'm not going to get this. They're going to go with the celebrity. So I read, then they called me back, and I went and read again for Greg Weisman and some of the other producers. And then I ended up getting the part of Lexington. So that was my first foray into voiceover, and it was just the greatest job ever because we would do it. Nowadays, they take you in a booth by yourself or maybe with one other actor. But with Gargoyles, we did it in one room with all the actors in a semicircle, and it was just, I was like, this is awesome. And it was like doing a radio play. You just read right through, and then stop and then redo it and then do another scene, stop, redo it. So that was, and while I was on that, about halfway through, that's when I got Twisted Tales of Felix the Cat. But I had been reading for that show for probably about 9 months. They were reading everybody for it. I remember I went and the girl that played Blossom was there, and Pee Wee Herman, I forget his name.
Paul Rubens.
What's his name?
Paul Rubens,
yeah, and just a bunch of people. And it got down to where they'd already had to start drawing the animation because they had already had an airtime for Saturday mornings, and so they had to start drawing the animation. So they drew the animation, and they had Sue Blue, who was the director of it. They had her do the voice, and then so they could start drawing the characters to the some kind of voice match. And finally, after reading, I'd read 1 month, and then I wouldn't hear anything. Then they'd call me in again for next month, and then I'd wait 2 months, and then read again, and it was this whole big ordeal. And I think it got down to me and Paul Rubens, and I ended up getting it. I don't know if maybe I was cheaper or what, but it ended up going with me. So that's what I did, and that was the same producers of The Simpsons. It was Film Roman. Simpsons, and that was great. And that kind of, when I got Felix, that was kind of a big deal in the voiceover industry because everybody knew they were trying to cast it, and it was taking so long. So when I got it, it was kind of a big deal, and I was interviewed on CNN, and it was a whole big deal. So that was great, and that kind of really, besides Gargoyles, that kind of launched my voiceover career, I think.
Yeah, and was it, because I remember looking at Felix the Cat, and I saw something about Charlie Adler was also Felix a couple times?
Yeah, it was weird, because we were bought for 22 episodes, and I did 21 episodes, and then I guess the show wasn't doing that great in the ratings for some reason, and so they decided to recast. They thought maybe it was, me or my voice. So it was very strange because we were on like episode 20 or something like that, or 21, and they called me in. My agent says they want to see you for Felix, and I go, what? They said they just want you to go in and read again. So I go to this place in Burbank, and Charlie Adler's there, and Mark Hamill, all these people, and Mark Hamill says to me, aren't you the guy who does Felix already? And I go, yeah. He goes, your voice is so great. Why are they recasting you? And I was like, I don't know. So I went in there and read again, tried to do something different. Guess it didn't work, and ended up going with Charlie Adler for, I think, 1 or 2 episodes. So that was that story. It was very strange.
A twisted tale involving the Twisted Tales.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right, and with Gargoyles, I remember I was looking at the cast once, and I remember, oh my gosh, like everybody in that's like a character actor. They were like Star Trek alumni. So
yeah, they had a huge Star Trek cast.
But so was everybody reading at the same time? Like, did you actually read with all the character actors, like Keith David? Did you actually read with all of them?
Oh yeah, we all read together. Keith David, Sally Richardson, Jeff Bennett, Bill Fagerbaki, all the, and then Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis. We were all there, and then when guest stars would come in, like Sheena Easton and Tim Curry, because they were recurring guest stars, they would come in. I remember CCH Pounder, who I just appreciated her work for so long. She did a couple of spots, and we would just get amazing actors on that show, and it was great because we were all in the same room and we're all acting together, and it was really great because you could work off, when you go in by yourself, you do your lines, and the director will feed you the line, but it's a lot of times it's not the way the actor did it or the actor would do it, so you get to hear the way they did it, and then you get to respond, and it just makes it, I think, much better when you're in there with all the other actors.
Yeah. were you nervous when you did your first voice acting gig? Were you nervous at all?
I was so nervous because I really didn't know what to expect or know what to do or how they were going to do it. I was very nervous. Yeah. And it that eased up after maybe 5 or 6 episodes. And plus, I was thinking, oh my God, they're gonna fire me. I'm not doing it right. I'm not sounding right. So yeah, I had the usual actor phobias of getting fired or not doing it well enough. But that subsided after about 5-6 episodes.
And you've done a lot of shows with Greg Weisman, who did Young Justice. He did Spectacular Spider-Man. Again, he did Gargoyles. Are you two friends, or is it just a coincidence?
Yeah, we became friends on the show, and started having lunches, and we just hit it off right away. First of all, he's just the most amazing man, and he's got such a great family, and he's just such a great guy. And so he would, we were friends and would talk periodically and send each other holiday cards. And then every time he would do something, he would bring me in and I would read for it. And then he would, I'm sure, had a lot to say about giving me the part. And he put me in all the shows he did, which was so awesome. And to this day, we had lunch probably about 2 weeks ago. And he's got some stuff in the works going, so hopefully more stuff will come. So yeah, he's just an amazing man, and I'm so fortunate to be friends with him.
And because you started doing live action, do you still do live action on occasion, or is it just all animation?
It's mostly animation and commercials, because the voiceover stuff came so easy for me, and the auditions are so much faster. If you go in for on-camera commercials, you're there for an hour sometimes, and they're seeing 2,000 people. And with voiceover, it's different because it's a smaller pool of people. Every single casting director in voiceover is so nice, and they treat the actors so wonderful. And on-camera auditions, a lot of times the casting directors don't treat the actors that well. But in voiceover, they're all, and I mean all, 100% of them are so nice. So I kind of stopped doing. I told my commercial agent to not send me out, and at that time I stopped doing movies and TV because I think my agency I was with went out of business, and I just never got back into doing it until maybe a couple of years ago. I did a web series with a friend of mine that produced it, and we did several episodes. And my plan is I just had new headshots taken, so I'm going to get back into on camera because I love it, and I do miss it. And I've done theater too. I still do theater, so that's good.
And because Weisman has done, I've noticed he's done comic book stuff. Were you ever a comic book person at all?
No, I really wasn't. I really wasn't. I remember being in the line at the grocery store and seeing, at the time we were doing Gargoyles, there were still comic books, and they would be at the grocery store stand. I remember they would say Disney this, and I would look, and they would have little, like 3-page little things of Gargoyles, and I thought that was really cool because I would see my character and see Lexington, and that was really interesting. But no, I've never really been a big comic book fan.
And I've noticed that you've done, like, what is your favorite company to work with? Because you've kind of worked for every animation, like, station I've seen, like Disney, Nick, Cartoon Network.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to do things for all of them. My favorite is, for some reason, and maybe because they used me a lot, and because Gargoyles was Disney. And I hope to work for them again. So Disney's been very good to me.
Yeah, I gotta say, thank you so much for letting me interview you.
Oh, I'm glad to do it. Very happy to do it.
Is there any advice you can give to aspiring voice actors that might listen to this?
I would say just if there's a class in your area, just take a class that gets you used to being in front of a microphone. And there's certain techniques you can learn, that pretty much any class should be able to help you with, like not popping your P's when you're talking into the microphone, looking down a little. So I would think taking a class and then getting a demo, which you can find inexpensive places to do demo. A lot of times you find these places that charge an arm and a leg, but you can get a good demo for, you just need to look around and find people that do it for less money. And then I would say there's probably online you can find out voiceover agents. I know here in California there's a store called Samuel French. You could probably go online and order something from there, but they have books on agents that have all the agents in them and all the agents that do voiceover, and they have the addresses and the emails that you can submit your demo to after you get your demo. So those are the things that I would suggest doing, and never give up, because you can like me, when I was auditioning for a year and reading 10 to 15 to 20 times a week and getting no. I just was persistent, and then that wonderful job of Gargoyles came up. So just, hang on to your dream and, keep plugging away. Never give up.